What's up, everybody? Welcome to House of Holocrons, episode 51. Tonight, in this, we're going to be talking about villains, the future of some of the best villains we have, and especially those from the Ahsoka series. Now that we're free to talk about it, we're really chomping at the nail, and these are some amazing villains. We've seen Baylan Skoll, Shin Hati, and Thrawn. Mithron Narudu, I believe is the correct pronunciation. I know you'll get me in the comments if I've butchered it. Thrawn lovers really love Thrawn. But those three alone are some really awesome villains. But there are going to be so many other things that are going to have to happen in the Star Wars universe because for there to be the conflict, the light has to meet the darkness. First off, I don't know, who would you want to talk about first? Baylan, Shin, or Thrawn? Thrawn's, I know, a big one, but I think Baylan and Shin need to be like a duo conversation.
Yeah, we can do Thrawn. Because in a way, I don't feel like I don't know. Both of them they've left so open ended.
Mm-hmm.
I know for sure we will see Thrawn next.
True.
So when we have Ahsoka season 2 or whatever that timeline of that show, whether it be Ahsoka or Mando, Thrawn's gonna be there because he's back.
Yeah.
Like I was speaking a little earlier, I don't see him continuing on to the movies after. I think the furthest they'll carry him is to the nickname the Mandoverse movie.
Yeah.
He would make a good movie villain. I feel like that's the reason why they're bringing him in is for a movie villain. But
I could see that. No, I mean, as much as I love Thrawn and I love his tactical ways, we also kind of were jokingly said though, but it's true. The only way I think Thrawn survives past the Mandoverse movie is if he somehow runs back to the Chiss Ascendancy. If he can get back home, then he's fine. Then he'll survive. I don't think the Chiss Ascendancy is going to be the next big bad guy. I mean, they could possibly throw them in there and he escapes back to the home. Then he brings some crazy Chiss Federation and Rey has to fight them off. No, I don't see that at all. I don't really see the Chiss being the main bad guys ever.
I don't see the way that they've made his character connection. We see that in Rebels, and then even with this later version of him, it feels like he's kind of abandoned the goal of the Chiss Ascendancy.
Yeah.
The only way I could see him going there is if the Return of the First Order hunts him down and he retreats in the Chiss Ascendancy. It just seems like the way he's kind of done things. It seems like he's all full on. I mean, he's always said he's sworn allegiance to the Emperor, but
yeah,
I mean, the Emperor's gone for all he knows, and he's still, with the Empire.
I mean, but to play devil's advocate real quick, just because I think it's kind of a fun thought that I just had. If he does go back to the Chiss Ascendancy, what if he gets back and literally says, "I did it. The Republic was defeated. The Empire is defeated. I've survived both. I helped orchestrate both of them through, back plays and minor adjustments here and there. And now there's this weak new Republic, and it is our turn to go and take them." Now, I don't think, again, that they would be bad guys. I could possibly see a part of a new plot being the new Republic has to build relations with the Chiss Ascendancy because the only other place they have to go now is wild space. They've explored everything else.
Well, I don't think he had anything to do with the fall of the Empire. If anything, I thought his idea was to use the Empire for Chiss Ascendancy.
Right.
And if anything, him getting stranded from the Empire is one of the reasons the Empire lost.
Right. That's a good point.
He didn't really have any kind of hand involved with the fall of the Empire, so I don't see him doing that. But now that the Empire is essentially his, he could, but he would have to build it back up. Yeah. And eventually, like I said, Palpatine, when he returns, he would just take it back.
Yes, no one's going to be able to keep it from Palpatine once he comes back for the sequel movies. No one's going to be able to try and undermine him. That's not going to happen.
You keep your oath, even though it's not the same Palpatine,
right?
And he won't ever know it's Palpatine because he'll just see Snoke.
Right.
He has no allegiance to Snoke.
if he makes it back to the Chiss Ascendancy, do you think we would ever see them again, or do you think this is like a one-time thing from?
I don't know. I think they would make a fun.
I really hope we would see
villain.
them. Yeah, exactly. I think we should see them at least a little bit.
What would be cool is we get a couple more shows of the Mandoverse. Like we put Shadi and we do little things of the Baylan and her, like just trickling along, little tidbits, and then but the whole focus is on Thrawn.
Yeah.
And we get a conflict with Thrawn and the New Republic. Of course, she starts taking over stuff because they don't take him seriously in the corruption. Eventually, they fight back with the group they have. Mm-hmm. They actually beat them. That would be cool because then he takes what he has, and then he would go Chiss Ascendancy, and then him bringing the Chiss Ascendancy into the Mandoverse would be a cool movie because then you can do like the Mandalorians would join in with the Republic, and they're like, well, we got to because we're gonna get another empire, and what happened last time? They wiped us out, and we were trying to rebuild. So it'd be kind of cool, like this culmination of this, I guess, Marvel's endgame moment of all the things finally coming together. I feel like if you were going to pick the big bad, it would have to be the Chiss Ascendancy. Because I don't see Thrawn's current army and the remnants of the Empire strong enough to do that.
Right. No, there's whoever does show up, especially from like Rey sequels on, is gonna have to have their own power behind them of like immense abilities. And not saying that the New Republic is like that well put together, but you can't just. It's very hard to start a small thing like that against the New Republic. I don't think it's gonna be easy to like rebuild off of like scraps. I'm not saying it's impossible. They could also do it. They could have someone rise up from the ashes of. But I mean, the Empire, I hope, stays dead. Like again, I want everything from the Skywalker saga to be dead and gone.
Well, the cool thing about if we did this route of the Chiss Ascendancy coming in with what little left of, I mean, most of the Empire at this point would kind of be wiped out.
Yeah.
Besides, what he kept with him. It'd be cool if we did this because then the remnants of the Empire is gone. We got the Republic now destroyed in the conflict against the Chiss Ascendancy. And then the New Order can just swoop in and take over like they did. And so it would kind of make sense. I mean, the Republic would still exist because we see them before they get wiped out, but they're not the presidents they should be at this moment.
It sucks, though, because it feels like if it's anything that big, why didn't they talk about it? But then again, I guess the same argument could be made for like the Clone Wars because it was only mentioned in the first movie, A New Hope. But I don't know it feels like if anything that big happens, somebody would have said something about beware the Chiss would have been more prominent, maybe. But it's hard to tell because again, it's so convoluted of a timeline now.
I wouldn't necessarily say that because at the point of we get the first of the sequels,
compact,
not convoluted. The New Order. The First Order has already been kind of established, and they're already in the system.
Yeah.
So they've already kind of the default bad guy at this point. So it would make more sense that everybody's kind of focused on the First Order and the Chiss Ascendancy kind of forgotten about at this point.
Okay.
Maybe they're not been in long enough to really establish anything, but big enough to knock down the New Republic. Of course, the New Republic being the good guys, gonna prevail, but with the help of the Mandalorians coming at the last second.
And I feel like that's the most crucial thing too, because then it allows the Mandalorians to be like, all right, and now we're gonna go to Mandalore and rebuild and be isolationists for a little while, and that's why nobody hears from us.
Yeah, it would also be like because they seem like they're starting to build up.
Yeah,
it almost feels like they gotta kind of bring their peg back down because otherwise, why haven't they see anything related with the First Order? Just because they're isolationists doesn't mean the First Order would completely ignore them.
Right.
So, but them being damaged from that big conflict wouldn't make sense. Like I said, to make this cool epic moment.
Yeah.
And like I said, the First Order swoops in and starts taking over planets and bringing in their everything, and we see kind of we have a little gap to kind of fill in with more books and stuff
Mm-hmm.
for before the first movie, as the transition of the First Order just kind of swoops in out of nowhere. That would be cool. I think it would make more sense. Will we get that?
Yeah.
Probably not. Who knows?
Right.
But I think if they use, I think Baylan's, which I hope they recast him. I think
Yeah.
those two would make a good, like, slow up to, like I said, waking up the old Sith Empire or something cool like that.
Right. So there's a good segue there to kind of start talking about, though. Baylan Skoll, I think, is going to be, was, and hopefully still is, definitely going to be a big part of this next sect of power of the dark side, or this I don't know what to even call him. He's not power hungry. He's just looking for something. I've heard a lot of people talk about some really good things about what he's looking for, but
it feels like he wants. It almost kind of gives me the Thanos vibe, where he wants things to be reset. He wants to change the cycle.
Yes, he definitely wants to change the cycle. He's tired of empires and the Jedi rising and falling in a certain cycle, taking over, killing each other, constantly doing the same thing back and forth. Just like Revan, just like Bane.
Old Sith cycle of just the two.
I could definitely see him being tired of the old Sith cycle of the rule of two. I mean, he could be the one who is he could be the one who's looking for the ghost of Bane to understand why he created the rule of two, and if he's wrong, he could canonize more of Darth Bane or Darth Revan. I've heard a lot of people say Darth Revan as well, but I honestly think it could be Darth Bane. He goes to an ancient tomb of his, the tomb on Korriban, as they say in Clone Wars. They call it Moraband. That's the new name they gave it. That he's buried there, but maybe Yoda was just at one of his ritual sites or his fake burial. Because Sith would do that all the time. They'd have a main burial on Korriban or something, and then their real tomb was big and huge somewhere else.
I mean, where that planet is, it could be somebody really ancient, some ancient dark side user of a tomb, or it could be a Sith, one of those Sith that kind of disappeared.
If it's a pure-blooded Sith, and we get to see mandibles and red skin, I'll worship the ground that Filoni walks on if that happens through the end of all of this. Whoever designs that.
Think about an ancient Sith Lord, right? Back in the early days of the Sith.
Yeah.
He goes out
Naga Sado, Ludo Kresh.
Because that was the thing, is there's so many Siths who goes out to find his own power. He leaves the galaxy. He gets stranded on this planet and eventually dies. They build a tomb with this, builds a tomb and everything. And then the remnants form a cult of Night Mothers that are basically using the dark side.
Exactly. No, and that's a big part of this too. There has to be a source of the Night Sisters and their affinity to the dark side. So if there is
technology with the maps and everything, because that's ancient.
Yeah.
So that has to be pre-Old Republic technology.
But also knowing of the Mortis gods and knowing their exact visage, what they look like. That means that person had seen them. People had seen them in their physical forms to make those statues. So maybe the Night Sisters did it. Maybe this ancient Sith Empire guy that was here did it when he took over this planet and created what I would imagine would be the sisters of Pantoria. What is the? I can't remember the name of the planet now, but
that would be a great way to upset the cycle.
Yes, and that would be amazing. Yeah, he finds this ancient Sith who did all this thing, and that Sith's power is so good, so great, that it is the Ichor that all the Night Sisters have ever used. He is the essence of the dark side on this nexus of a planet, something like that. Because Coruscant itself, the Jedi Temple was built on a dark side nexus.
Yeah.
Or an old temple, I should say, an old Sith temple built on a nexus of the Force.
And it seems like when he left the Jedi Order, it seems like pre-Order 66. It seems like he did it beforehand.
I don't know. I think I could honestly see Baylan being a guy who killed every single one of the clones who's trying to kill him and made it out of there alive. Maybe he knew of a youngling who was in a nearby mission or something and rescued Shin when she was very young. I don't know, but I feel like he definitely. I could see him being a guy who had to kill all of the clone troopers he knew.
But but maybe it's there's something he found something to make
Yes.
him want to seek out the Night Sisters to go to that planet.
Yeah.
There was something that drew him to do that. So something that powerful could be something ancient Sith or ancient dark side related.
Yeah. I mean, and maybe this is again will be help us more with the story of the origins of the Night Sisters and all of their magic and powers, because they're now not unsay mystery anymore. Now we just kind of know where they came from. We just still know their origins, and that'll be a beautiful thing to see. Is like maybe if the Mortis gods were worshipped on this planet, and there is some, but the sisters' statue has been destroyed, clearly showing that through time, the people around there were far less than savory, far less than good, far less than light side, or else I don't think the sister statue would have been destroyed. So the fact that it kind of shows that iconography tells me that this planet is very dark and has been steeped in a darkness for a very long time. But maybe at one time did hold a little bit more of a balance. And if it was that the Mortis gods lived here, because I believe in the Mortis story arc, they talk, I don't know if I gotta really rewatch it, and I'd hate to speak out of turn super horribly, but if I remember correctly, off the vague little bit that I watched a few months ago, they didn't like run away to Mortis, but they definitely like went there as like, well, no one can find us here. We don't want to be found, so we needed to go to Mortis because it was a planet hidden.
Yeah.
And if they went somewhere hidden, that means they're hiding. Why are they hiding? What happened on this planet that ended so bad? Were they like kings on Peridia? Did they rule over Peridia and then something really bad happened, probably with the sun, and they fled? Does it have something to do with when the sister died because Anakin and the statue crumbled then? Like there could be that. The statue could have been like some weird essence of life.
And also, who taught them to use the dark side? Who taught them to use these? Because it's something they just didn't fall upon.
Yeah.
So,
well, now thinking about it though, with the way that the sun has his like eye paint and stuff, I could see the sun having been helping in the creation of the Night Sisters as well.
What if it was like this ancient dark side user that taught him all this?
Yeah. Because I mean, if he finds like the writings of the sun, or the writings of these ancient dark side users who worshipped the sun and worked with him, then they're going to be like, that's the most true evil ancient part of the dark side that no one's touched in a while. I am, like force pyromancy and all that cool stuff that they had in Legends, where they could just light people on fire with the dark side of the Force, or besides just electrify them, they could freeze them. Force Maelstrom that Darth Plagueis was not Plagueis, but Palpatine was supposed to be able to do. Sidious being able to just create a nexus of like gravity and dark side energy around you. That's awesome.
Well, it's funny because the original origin has to do with Dathomir, but now we know that's not true anymore.
Right, because the origins for Dathomir come from Peridia. So
the original was a story, and it says it was commonly told story, which is that the first of the ancient Night Sisters were trained by the ways of the Force by Elia, a female Jedi whom Jedi Council sent in exile to the planet of Dathomir.
Yeah, but so now we know
the Jedi Council has no records of this Jedi in the first place. So this is some fable, I guess, that was told.
Yeah, now the big thing is and that was just kind of like a canon for a long period of time. It wasn't even touched on in the Jedi Survivor game or in any of that series. So they were never really trying to canonize anything there. So this is pretty much the only real canon thing we've gotten for Origins. I mean, maybe it'll be bent a little bit. Maybe this ancient Darksider we're talking about is this, this woman's ancient Jedi, some. We could be going back to first schism kind of stuff. Like the very first time the Order of the Light Side split and the first Sith reformed, or
pre-Sith. I think where they're getting this. Honestly, it would make sense because they're pretty ancient,
right?
And the magic they know is not something we even see with any Sith.
Right, because like you said, it's literally magic. It's not using the Force. It is using magic that is just of the dark side.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's like a unique way of using the Force. 'Cause it's Force related,
Yes.
but it's not. It's not how we know it.
Right. It's not how a Jedi or a Sith, would think of using the Force. It's incantation. It's again that ichor. It's memorization and spells and supplies.
But we also get a little from Fallen Order about
Yeah.
the Night Sisters as well, and I think there's some history with that as well, but I don't remember. They have connection to one of the ancient people, but I don't remember what it was.
Well, I
Been a
mean,
while.
the ability to control life and death to the degree of putting, life back into a dead corpse and make it reanimated, that's alone very powerful. Like, that is a crazy powerful ability to have. And the fact that the other Night Sisters are so willing to sacrifice themselves in death to be a part of that, eternal army. It's really awesome. I really have to give kudos to the Night Sisters, but whoever taught them is probably going to be very terrifying. And I could see that kind of person being who Baylan is looking for.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's the Zeffo.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
This is at some point during the ancient history, a massive fortress constructed in Peridia, where the inscription that was blessed the role of Zeffo sage Kejut, Kujet, his everlasting reign. Inscription was written on. Yeah, there was like a thing in the background, and also had to do something with. And isn't he? Doesn't he have something to do with the undead as well?
I can't remember exactly, but.
Yeah, we see a statue. That's why
there's a true. Yeah, his palace and statue is in Dathomir. Huh.
How old are the Zeffo? I know they're pretty ancient.
I mean, they're older than the Jedi Order. Do you think the Zeffo had something to do with Peridia?
Well, he was exiled, if you remember. Because Because he also went to Dathomir at one point. So I think he is the person that we're kind of talking about here.
Oh, yeah, he's the person who kind of... Yeah, but he didn't teach the witches, obviously, because they arrived from a different planet. Curious to know what happened, but, I mean, I could see the Zeffo having something to do with this, but I don't know if they were intergalactic travelers. I could see that. I would not be too pressed to believe it. It would be a very easy conversation to make me be like, oh, they also could travel through galaxies. That's awesome. They did have, their art style always did kind of like remind me a little bit of the Zeffo stuff we see in Survivor and Fallen Order. Well, Fallen Order, not so much Survivor, but the Zeffo stuff was always really cool, and I would be very excited if that somehow led to Cal Kestis coming into live action. I'm always down if we could ever finally get Cameron in the costume on screen. That would be amazing.
But yeah, that's where we got that's the closest we get to the origin of the Night Sisters currently is through Kejut. I don't know how to say his name.
Yeah, through the Fallen Order game. Okay.
The inscription in his everlasting reign, the inscription that is written in ancient Ur-Atat script, which was later used by the Sith Order at some point in time. Kejut Fortress came to inhabit the Dathomir Night Sisters. Ancient droid Huyang believed the planet used to become the center of the Witch Kingdom. Eventually, the fortress was abandoned by all three witches, call themselves the Great Mothers. They entered a long sleep. And then Kejut has a little bit of info on him about he established a great palace on Dathomir for centuries. He was forced by the other great sages of the Zeffo because he was evil. But basically, yeah, he promises followers the power control of the life one, which is the Force.
Yeah.
And the sage proved to be treacherous and cruel. From the seat of power on Dathomir, Kejut's sage massacred in the halls of the palace, reducing a resistance to ash and ruin, and Kejut died. He was entombed within sarcophagus, then placed upon the walls of the great temple. Within his dead hands held the last remaining estriums.
Yeah.
So it'd either be him or somebody before him, but I know he had If anyone could,
I think it's gonna have to be before him because I don't think this guy. That doesn't sound like they left Dathomir, went to Peridia.
well, it also says he was at Peridia, so.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
Oh,
it says
shit.
it says at one point in history, a fortress constructed on Peridia. Inscription that blessed the
Oh,
will
wow.
of Zeffo.
Okay.
And apparently this, and Qing says this, that this planet was the center of the Witch Kingdom, so I guess there was a whole, like, there's multiple planets.
Yeah.
And so I'm guessing they used the whales to travel to the new galaxy, and
Right.
and that's probably Zeffo took that whales with the witches over to Dathomir to establish kind of a new kingdom, probably because they saw maybe more dark side force in that galaxy.
I thought the Zeffo are. Yeah, so the Zeffo saw more power in Peridia. Well, that one did. That's interesting.
No, I think it's the other way around. I think he saw more power in Dathomir.
But I thought the Zeffo came from a home planet of like. Then the Zeffo, don't you go to the Zeffo home planet in Fallen Order?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure you do. Their home planet was in this galaxy, from what I remember.
That's Outer Rim territories of it. So, well, he did get banished, so that would be why.
Yeah. But hey, I mean, that's something else then. It could be the Zeffo. So now we can't totally rule them out.
I don't think it's the Zeffo. I think it's this guy, because he's like so evil. The Zeffo banished him.
Oh, you think it's Kejut or whatever his name is?
Yeah. And his banishment, he got kicked out of the galaxy, established himself in Peridia.
Okay.
Made an empire, and then the empire went back to the galaxy on the backs of the whales, and then reestablished the empire, which he then died in the purging. I guess he had traitors.
You know who kind of looks like the Zeffo? The Rakatans. What if Kejut made the Rakatans as well? Like, what if he comes back with the Infinite Empire, pretty much? And that's kind of where they come from.
I thought as Rakatans, aren't they pre-Zeffo?
I don't know anymore. I mean, remember the Zeffo are pre-Jedi Order, so
yeah. Well, both of them are.
Right, but even in the Rakatan lore, they were slaves once. Like in the Old Republic lore, the Rakatans were in service to the not Gwar, but some other like lizard race, and then they became free.
Zeffo did have slaves.
Yeah,
I was reading about they had.
Yeah, they were very big into in the servants.
He was a ruthless leader who ordered destruction of Vesteriums. The species used. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, multiple species used.
Yep, all kinds of evil stuff. So yeah, I could totally see that though. It would work.
Yeah. I mean,
some
I don't think
genetic engineering and gross mutations he makes from his own DNA, or like parts of some Zeffo he creates the Rakatans, and then goes back with this massive empire. I can see it. That sounds fun. I like that. I actually really like that. I think it's a fun idea, if nothing else. And Baylan's on his way to go find, this ancient Peridian fortress of Kejut to learn like ancient secrets of the dark side and
that's what that power. Temple we saw in the show.
Mm-hmm.
That was his original fortress that he built.
And then he was kicked out of there, even though he was buried there.
No, he was. I thought he was buried in. I'm pretty sure he was buried in Dathomir.
Yeah, because you go to his tombstone to get like a force power and all that kind of other fun stuff. Yeah, progress to storyline.
No, I think he was originally banished to Peridia, and after he reestablished himself, and then he came back. Is like, hey guys, I got this witch army now. Take this, and
it
went to Dathomir. Because it says eventually he got betrayed or something and died.
And the Rakatans rose up and killed him. See, I'm telling you. Kejut made the Rakatan Empire. The Infinite Empire came back from Peridia after he built up a lot of power. And that's going to create all of this backstory that's going to lead us into the Old Republic and the dawn of the Jedi. Yeah! Called it. Found it. Figured it out.
Yeah, it says he built this ancient fortress on Peridia. At some point in time later, he then became inhabitant Dathomir with the Night Sisters. But believe so.
Bro, I'm calling it now. I'm just telling you. I figured it all out.
We don't know much about him. It's very little about him, so
right.
it'd be this cool.
It'd be a very cool villain, I think.
I don't think we'll get him specifically, but something, unless the Night Sisters like come together to revive him. But
or possession, if he possesses
he'd be a
body.
weird enemy because the Zeffos look funny.
Well, aren't they also like super tall?
Yeah,
they're massive.
Unless they put like a mask on, because he'd be decayed and you have to have something to hold up. It'd be kind of like.
See, I would think more he would. I honestly think it'd be more of him. He possesses somebody.
Like, either that, or they do like we did with the character that died during Ahsoka. What's his name?
Oh, Merrick.
Yeah, Merrick.
Marek. Yeah.
And he was literally just like a suit of armor.
Yeah, with gas. Yeah.
That would be the big reveal at the final movie. The armor.
If it's a Zeffo, he's going to be massive. If he takes over a body, then it makes it a bit more like, oh, it's just a person, which isn't not terrifying in the Star Wars universe. An evil person is always terrifying.
But if they do take over Baylan, that could be like reasoning why his face changed. Why he doesn't look like. Or they could put a mask over him. Now he's turned. You see the back of his head the whole time. They don't show his face. It's the back of his head, and he goes through the whole thing. His body just like
morphs a little. He looks a little.
Puts a helmet on to cover it. And then we have no idea it's a different person.
He takes on a new name, as the true.
He wouldn't call himself Baylan anymore.
Yeah, he'd be Kejut. Exactly. See? We're figuring it out. What do you think about Shin? What do you think is going to happen with the future of Shin Hati? Do you think she's going to die in Ahsoka season 2? Do you think she's going to go back to Baylan, even though Baylan left her and she kind of noticed that? I don't know, bro. I think she'll be redeemed.
I don't think her and Baylan will get back together.
Yeah, I don't think that band's getting back together. Do you think she'll ever be redeemed, though? Do you think Ahsoka might save her?
What if she bumps into, what's her name from Obi-Wan?
Reva?
Yeah, her and Reva hang out.
I don't know, but I honestly, the best thing I could see for Shin would be for Ahsoka.
Her new master, because that was pre.
Didn't she actually die? She actually died, though, at the end of Kenobi, right?
No, I thought she came back. That was the whole deal. I don't know.
I can't remember. I just remember the Kenobi and Vader fighting. Towards the last few episodes, but I think Shin is either going to end up. I mean, if she ends up stuck on Peridia, that's one thing, but I don't think it's going to be good for her because I don't see those samurai orc people things. I don't really see them, keeping her around forever.
Unless they want to use those for the beginning of the new army.
Right.
That would be how the only way the rest of them that are stranded on that planet would get back would be the help of a Zeffo.
Zeffo or Purgle, but yeah.
Well, I thought the whole idea is the Purgle only come there once in a long time.
I have no idea. The Force works in mysterious ways, my friend. So that's plot armor right there. They're going to find some way off.
Use the sister and open up a door and they walk through and they walk on the floaty bridge and then
Ahsoka's really
the door.
Yeah, Ahsoka opens the world between worlds because she's connected to it and stuff.
And they pop out in the middle of the Senate floor as they're arguing about what to do with the Thrawn. It's like, oh, he's not back. Or we just pop in the middle of it. They're we'll prove you. Look.
He's on his way right now, actually. He should be right around this planet right now. Go look, right now.
Then you see Thrawn with his face painted to look like he's not blue-skinned.
Just
sunglasses. I'm not Thrawn.
What? No, my name's Ron.
Thrawn in disguise just paints his skin a different color and puts sunglasses on. Well, he did pretend to be other races before in the books.
I mean, all you really have to do is get some contacts and paint gold stripes on his face. And like, I am Pantoran. What are you talking about?
Didn't he do something like that where
I could see him do that. That'd be smart.
Like something over. He like wore glasses or something. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure he did that in the books.
He could easily pass for a Pantoran. That's an easy one. Throw some fake Liku on and be a Twi'lek.
I don't think she's there yet.
But no, I don't see Shin Hati probably progressing past season 2. I feel like season 2 of Ahsoka is either going to be her end or a redemption. I mean, if she ends up with like Rey, cool. Like, I don't think she's going to be a main part of much. I would not be mad if she is. I love the actress. I love Shin Hati. I just don't know where her character is going to go after the end of the Ahsoka series, so it could go anywhere. I'm just trying to leave my expectations open because she could become the next great teacher. Oh, Reva's not dead? Okay, cool. Hey, Reva and Shin Hati can go be teachers at Rey's new school. Bow, 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 bow.
I don't know if I put them as my teacher. Especially Reva, she's
learned.
If she does redeemed herself.
Yeah, she's a little prone to anger, but who isn't, man? Come on. They need someone a little fiery every now and again to help defend the galaxy.
They should make her become a Night Sister. It'd be cooler.
Again, that's another reason why we need to see Cal Kestis and Marin, because there's more Night Sister stuff we could learn right there, but no.
Or make her the new Darth Maul, kind of the representative of the Night Sisters.
Oh. That is one thing that the Night Sisters have, that kind of power to like supercharge people. I'm surprised no one else has done that. Like, can a human do that? Could a human survive the Night Sisters imbuing them with dark side energy?
Well, I thought the Zabrak, aren't they like really similar biologically?
Well, I think they have 2 hearts. So the main difference, if nothing else, they're more aggressive, and I believe they have 2 hearts. So that's a big thing. The 2 hearts probably helps. That's the main reason why they're more aggressive.
That's why they survive, is because it kills them, but since they have 2 hearts...
Yeah, it like kills one of them. But I know they have 2 hearts because that's what makes them a little bit more athletically prone, because, they can pump more blood through their bodies. But...
I wonder if the science behind that's true.
That would make sense. It would kill one of their hearts, man.
Oh, yeah. They're carnivores with 2 hearts.
Yep.
Let them pump oxygenated blood.
I don't think they're like peak human body type evolution, but they're definitely a bit better than us just because of the extra heart. But I don't think that it kills one of their hearts. I just think it's like I think it's a dark side connection thing. And of course, the Dathomirians who like torture the male Zabrak on Dathomir their whole lives. Most of those Zabrak male are going to have a lot more of a disposition to the dark side. Hence why they're also just more evil looking. They're orange and red and yellow versus the browns and tans and like natural skin colors of the Iridonian Zabraks.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because I googled things in our world with multiple hearts, and on the list of 10 things is humans. Humans is number 9.
Humans have multiple hearts. Awesome. Sometimes, I guess. That doesn't count. That's a mutation. What are you talking about?
Some humans could have 2 hearts sometimes. Like, you don't count that. I'm talking about normal. Because the rest of these are animals with multiple hearts.
Yeah.
The only thing that makes it consistent along these animals in our world, multiple hearts, is they're very resilient. Like earthworms, cockroaches.
Yeah, it's nothing big cool. It's nothing really cool and big. It's like tiny little mollusky gross stuff because, they need 2 hearts because we try to kill them all the time. They get cut in half, worms. They get diced up and they live. Oh. I am definitely, though, ecstatic to see what's going to happen in the season 2 of Ahsoka. Kind of like, I guess, a bit of a recap there. Yeah, Thrawn is probably going to end up gone in the Mandoverse movie. dead or back to the Chiss Ascendancy. Could the Chiss Ascendancy become the next big guys? They could, maybe. I just don't see them. I could see them being part of the galaxy now, but I just don't see them being the big baddies.
It would be nice because we've always had them like, a little bit in books and stuff, and it's always been kind of this like thing that's kind of just like the idea that they exist, but we never actually seen them.
Yeah.
So it'd be cool.
And then of course Baylan, what is he looking for? We kind of made a really fun little connection here, realizing that is he going for some ancient Rakatan tech? Even older than that, is he going for the people that might have created the Rakatans? Now that I'm headcanoning that, the Zeffo, Kejut, is he going to be going to the ancient shrine of Kejut to steal his ancient dark side Sith ways? Even older than the Sith, which is even more dark and crazy. Is he going to get possessed? Is that going to be the end of his character? Again, we also hope not for that. Shin Hati, what's going to happen to her? She could be redeemed. She could easily just die in season 2. That could also be a thing. But I honestly hope for a redemption arc because who knows? We got to get more Jedi. We need to get something to fight whatever the evil is going to happen. And something evil does have to come. I honestly am really rooting, though. I like this little thing we found out of the Zeffo kicking Kejut out of the planet. He goes to Peridia, sets up a fortress, helps create the Night Sisters, brings them back to Dathomir, creates this, empire here. And then, of suffering and pain and darkness. So now Baylan is looking for this ancient empire. And if it's the Infinite Empire and he created the Rakatans who created the Infinite Empire, then he literally is going to look for a Star Forge.
Well,
that's just like Revan. Oh my god. Well,
it makes sense why there's no Night Sisters except the 3 Great Mothers on Peridia.
Yeah.
Because he took all the Night Sisters with him and left those 3 behind. And they basically went to hibernation.
Yeah.
And maybe, I guess, Thrawn researched, because what he does, and he read a book, it's like, oh, I remember reading about this. And then he woke them up.
Mm-hmm.
And then because he's like, I gotta use somebody strong enough to communicate. And he woke those guys up. Hey, communicate to a witch.
Right.
Get me home.
Yeah. I really actually am liking this idea because I know the Rakatans need to get tied into it eventually, but it's the same logic that Revan was talking about. Honestly, it really is. Looking to break the cycle, looking for a power beyond power, an infinite power that comes from nothing. To tip the scales, to keep things always in line. The Infinite Empire and a Star Forge that can create an endless army and create all these ships and battle stations. And I'm not saying it's a floating one like from Knights of the Old Republic, but like the first, like a proto, like some crazy machine though that can pump out ships. It can pump out soldiers like droids, something like crazy cool like that. And he's going to have to find it. Or he's looking for the remnants of that, which probably won't be fully intact, of course. That's going to be part of the mission, is to make it intact. And he's either then possessed by the ghost of Kejut or learns from it and is disfigured and morphed, and then he has to wear a helmet and or a mask. And now he gets to look more like a bad guy. And when we recast the character, hey, he's wearing a mask.
Just give him the Darth Vader treatment.
Yeah, which is still cool. Bad guys in Star Wars should have really awesome masks and helmets because I think it's dope aesthetic. It sets the package like that's not a good person.
Yeah. It's funny? We were talking about can humans take that? We kind of take the witch power like they did. We did kind of actually see that with Ahsoka, if you remember. What's her name?
Morgan Elsbeth?
She gets powered up by the mothers.
Yeah, she gets her like tattoos and her nice ghostly porcelain skin.
She goes crazy with her magic flaming sword.
The Sword of Talzin. That was a really cool reference. I really like that reference. But and again, that would then help tie back into the video games, which could then get us to have Cameron and so we get Cal Kestis live action with Marin. There we go. Man, it's like poetry, it rhymes.
The fact they connected Kejut already on the planet we've already connected them to the storyline.
I don't know how many other people have thought of that. Like, how many people have thought, hey, it literally says Kejut, this ancient evil Zeffo, was banished from his planet and set up a new empire on Peridia, and then came back to Dathomir. Whoa! We haven't. What? Whoa! Hold on. I didn't really even comprehend it till the second time you said it. That's why I had to ask you, like, wait, what did you say? Because I was like, there's no way they literally already said Peridia and like gave us that little morsel. That's amazing. That's why I love Star Wars, is when they are able to connect stuff like that.
During the show, it did say, and I'm reading it here, it says that to describe the original home of the people who rode, the Night Sisters of Dathomir, there was this tale, the original home of the people who rode the Purgle between galaxies. So, yes, I think they actually came from that area and then went back over.
What did the samurai guy's armor look like? Like the bad guys in the Ahsoka series that were just on Peridia.
Do you think they're remnants of the soldiers they used to have?
Maybe. So they wore a lot of red. It was very like old looking because it had like a samurai vibe to it.
Well, they used to be the Night Sisters Empire, so the fact that they live there.
But weren't they like? Didn't they have like elongated like goggle things in the front?
I'm trying to find what they're called.
Yeah, right. Because now I'm trying to think if they looked like a Zeffo or a Rakatan, that'll answer everything. Minus
the weird shell people.
Yeah, minus the weird shell people. And the weird shell people could just be the remnants of a working class that just stayed on the planet after all the Empire fell.
So
yeah, sadly,
I don't think they gave them names. Looks like.
Yeah, I wouldn't be. I was wondering if I can't even remember if they were a named villain or bad peeps. But I'm really starting to dig on this connection, though, between the Zeffo to the Rakatans to Peridia to the Old Republic. Like it'll be a great launching board to connect a lot of stuff with Kejut and this evil Zeffo. Getting to go into a place where the Force hasn't been used or isn't used the way we know of it, because the Zeffo called it, the Great Wind, the Divine Wind, very different things. And this is like an ancient power. And if he helped create the Night Sisters and create the Rakatans, then that's the kind of tipping the scale that Baylan would be looking for to create something that will stop this constant cycle of life and death of the Empire and the Jedi Order, light and dark, just bickering back and forth. Kind of almost pulling like a Darth Treya kind of thing. He's like, if I just kill this at the source, then no one can fight anymore. But he's not, stupid enough to try and take out the Force itself. Because you can't kill the Force. That won't work well for anyone. Any luck on the
they don't armor? Have an official name. These are just called bandits.
Do they? What's their armor look like? Does it have like anything weird up top, or am I just imagining that now?
One of the leaders does, and I will say the leader does have a head. Look.
All right. See, we're cooking with oil now. I got some theories.
I mean, it's kind of a stretch.
I like it. I like a good stretch.
That's the helmet of one of the guys we see.
I mean, I'm down to give it a stretch. What else do I got going on right now?
And then that is the traditional Zeffo look right there.
Traditional Zeffo look. Trying to see where. Yeah, okay. So his eyepieces are here, but his headpiece comes out and it has like a big arch on it.
The leader had a wide helmet.
Yeah, the leader has a wide helmet, the others do not.
But I mean, if they were ruled by the Zeffo, it would make sense that their leader would have a similar helmet shape.
I'm loving this. I'm loving this fan theory that I've created now. where we can connect the Zeffo to the Rakatan, to Peridia, to the Infinite Empire, back to the galaxy, onto Dathomir. Ooh.
It would make sense why they were willing to join up with a dark side user.
Right. I mean, and this guy shows up on Peridia and just starts handing out power. Just gives these people power. Like, oh, you get power and you get power. I'm going to give all you guys power. But the rest of you will, you will serve under me forever, and your children will serve me forever and ever. And then they take them back and start, just laying siege on the galaxy. Which, again, that then brings us into the story of the Dawn of the Jedi. This could be the thing that creates the Jedi Order. This evil Zeffo Emperor comes back from Peridia with this ancient army of Rakatans and Night Sisters, begins to conquer the galaxy, and what's left to do? Well, this band of Force users come together, and they form the Jedi Order, and they fight back this evil empire, helping to destroy it, like creating the Jedi Order in a way.
Check this image out. Somebody put together.
Okay. I'm excited now. This is where things are really starting to come together.
You can make it bigger if you open a browser.
I got it. I mean, that does look pretty Zeffo. That's why I always thought too that first.
Well, look at the Zeffo door from Fallen Order, and then the door they're standing in front of.
Yeah.
And then the Zeffo image of the three.
Yeah. I don't know if that's the father, son, and daughter though, but then yeah, the three sisters, and then that map I always did immediately think she went to a Zeffo temple to figure out where they were going to get to Peridia. It just kind of had like more humanoid looking people in it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so the text on the door says the runes can be seen on the fortress situated in Peridia, reading "Praise Kejut, ruler of all, may his reign last."
Okay.
Kejut, the ancient Sith Zeffo sage, was ruled. Well, he never was Sith. I don't know why they said that. Had ruled over Peridia at one point in his life.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm really beginning to think that this guy was the source of what Baylan's looking for, and he created.
Originally hailed from Peridia, often explaining the strange culture and the difference utilization of the Force through magic. Isis eventually left Peridia using the Purgles to settle in Dathomir. Revealed that Kejut was buried on the planet Dathomir in his giant palace. Also points possible return of Kejut. His name is mentioned of Peridia as the ruler of whoever describes the rings, hoping is and will last. Yeah.
So you think Kejut's the next big bad guy?
If it's not, I don't know if it's him specifically, but it's got to do something with him.
Yeah. I really like the idea that he's dead and gone, and that Baylan's going to go look for his powers and his kind of teachings and stuff that he left on Peridia. And this would just be a really good way, though, to tie in to all of the old Republic empires and like why the Jedi Order would get started. What was the great evil that would have led to this? Like, here we go. We got this ancient evil Zeffo guy returning to this galaxy with these Night Sisters, with the Rakatans.
I never saw that. And there's a screenshots from Ahsoka that has stuff mirroring Fallen Order.
Okay.
I didn't even see those pillars that you see that, the statue where it says the three?
Yeah.
That look like Zephos with the head shape. There's pillars with that same architecture on that planet, as well as the weird mouth-shaped things. Yep.
See, and that's really awesome that to kind of like sit here and think about that. And again, I've not heard a lot of I've not heard a lot of other people think about this. So I think we're on something pretty fresh here, Mike. I think we're sniffing it out. We're Scooby-Doo and the gang in it.
I think there's enough evidence that it has to be something like that.
Yeah. No, this is really cool. This is going to be a really fun one. I enjoy this too. If we figured it out, that's fine with me, because I think it's a really amazing storyline to start involving the Zeffo and the things from the Fallen Order game and this really cool lore that they've already kind of built on. And that ties right into how the Star Wars universe has always worked. This small little blip that you thought you heard about in this one portion of this tiny bit of movie is actually extremely important and has this huge catastrophic effect that's going to cascade through everything like later on once you realize what really happened. It doesn't have to be like, it's not like it's not like the Clone Wars that, shaped the galaxy, but this could be something very close to it. It could be greater. It could be, a little smaller. I just think it's really cool that we're getting this connection.
You know what that mask looks really similar to?
What? Which mask, though? The one that he wears, or?
No, on, I forgot the guy's name. The gold mask. Stormtrooper.
Oh, Enoch, yeah.
Yeah, his mask looks really close to the Night Sisters, the original race. Because they have black eyes, and they have that weird arch on with their nose and stuff.
Think he was like a male Dathomirian or one of the first ones?
I think they just maybe repurposed maybe in one of their like sacred masks or something.
Yeah. The Night Sisters definitely went from Peridia to Dathomir, and the Zeffo were definitely involved. So Kejut is Kejut's definitely, I think, involved in a lot of this.
Yeah, there's a bit on the Zeffo sages talking about there's three of them.
Mm-hmm.
Each of the sages has a tomb. The tomb of Elrond was an underground structure proving training facility for the sages to study life wind. Before becoming Elrond's resting place, Mithril resided in a large temple where he has asked offerings from the Zeffo people. When he died, he became the resting place. However, the darkest of the three temples was that where the Kejut resided. Instead of thriving and researching on Zeffo, like the other two sages, Kejut established his power on the planet Dathomir. Dathomir thrived on the dark side of the Force. Kejut became consumed by the darkness, promising power and control over life wind. However, the tomb of Kejut was symbol of Kejut's ruthless power, as it would cast rebels into the pits under their throne room.
That does sound like he came back and held some pretty crazy imperial power for a little bit. Probably try to take over a bit of the galaxy. I could really see Kejut being what's going to lead us through some of the fun stories of the creations of these Force groups. And honestly, I definitely, that's probably what Baylan's looking for now, is something to have to do with Kejut and his power base there on Peridia. That's awesome, though. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Definitely got the evidence for it now. Put a lot of pieces together right before my eyes. I had none of this idea. I'm seeing a lot of, with the images that we're finding, a few other people must have, but...
I remember reading about there was the Night Sisters were connected through that, through the Zeffo, but I couldn't remember through who. And then, so the facts that we know is Kejut is like one of the leaders of the Zeffo who had connection to the dark side, and the Night Sisters had a temple on Peridia, and then he also had a fortress on Dathomir, which he then had his tomb, which the Night Sisters kind of spawned from.
Right.
But we now know from Ahsoka that the Night Sisters actually came from Peridia, but they're not Zeffo, so
right.
Yeah, I guess he found them when he got there and gave them this power,
or at least showed them how to unlock it, and really use it. And that would make sense again as to why they use such a different form of the Force, is because they were taught how by this very, very ancient being. Very ancient.
I'm getting a heavy Egyptian vibe with all this, to be honest.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, the Zeffo definitely had a heavy Egyptian vibe, which is going to be a cool aesthetic. Honestly, I'm down for that aesthetic to get thrown around in Star Wars for a little bit. The gold inlay and all of the talismans / hieroglyphic styles of writing.
Well, they had ancient sects within the Egyptians that were cults that worshipped the god of the death.
Yeah.
And they practiced magic that was shunned, or sometimes, depending on the people, would follow.
Yeah.
So there were similar things. So this is really kind of remind me of ancient Egypt in a way.
That is, yeah. Even the name almost, Kejut, almost has that. That's yeah. No, I'm excited for the future of the bad people and the villains, especially if this is all going to start tying together and give us this big grandiose like. In the beginning, there was this grand Emperor Kejut who tried to take over everything known to him, and we get the beginning of the Jedi Order and all this faff, and we finally get to like fill it in and really like put padding there.
Or, they could just we could just establish something and then forget about it and never touch on it again, like they've done with other stuff in the past.
No, I have faith. A rebellion is built on hope, Mike, and we must have hope. We must have hope.
But, I mean, establishing this as a future villain, like, somebody this grand, I would love to see, like I said, in the 3 movies. I wouldn't want to see them as the single... And it wouldn't really make sense, how would the Mando or Din get involved with that kind of thing? I feel like he would be more involved with Thrawn. Yeah. If anything, because the Mandalorians have kind of this whole hatred of the Empire now.
True.
It's what happens when you just blast their planet.
Right.
So I feel like it would make more sense for the Mandoverse movie have to do something with respawning of the Empire. At least the big ending with that.
Yeah.
And hopefully that will be the end of the Empire.
And then I guess season 2 could kind of help, Ahsoka with Sabine is going after Baylan and he's going after Kejut's secrets. And that's going to help us like them figure out how, 1, they're going to probably get back to this galaxy, 2, just give us really awesome lore that we never would have gotten before on like OG wars in the galaxy and OG Darksiders. That'll then probably be talked about way more and fleshed out in the Old Republic and Dawn of the Jedi movie that we're going to be getting.
So, if we do get this villain, to get people, it's like they would need to do enough to kind of establish who this character is, because not everybody's played the games.
Right.
And even the games, it's very little information. I've been digging on the Zeffo, and it's very teased within the game itself.
And this would, start giving information about Kejut to build up this really cool, badass, ancient evil guy. And then we get to see him in the Dawn of the Jedi movie.
No, you're talking about the pre-Jedi Order?
Yeah. Because that's what the whole point of that movie is. That's what that guy said. He's writing a movie about the creation of the Jedi Order, a Bible of like why the Force is used the way it is here and stuff like that.
Do you think that's why they're doing that movie, is to introduce Kejut better?
I could see that. I could literally see that the Ahsoka series is going to help set up Kejut as a person, as a thing. And then that movie would be like, he's a villain. He's the villain who created the Jedi.
Does this come out after the new Rey movie?
I don't know.
Because I think it would be cool is if at the end of the Rey movie they kind of tease, Baylan returning with the power of the Zeffo or to Kejut, and so we get this like Kejut character at the end of it, this reveal of this bad ancient evil guy,
right?
And then we go into the movie and actually introduce you to who Kejut is. Like in the past.
Yeah.
And then we'll get sick of the Zeffo and Kejut because we'll get a ton of movies.
That would be cool, that would still work out though, because then the Zeffo can do their thing and it can be the Dawn of the Jedi, and then they can die out and peter out, and again we have the Rakatans and all this stuff, and we get through the Old Republic, and then we get to the High Republic, and it's like that way we have like a more or less, I won't say it's a fleshed out storyline, but we'll have more in that beginning part than we ever have before that's canonized, and that's a big part to me.
I would love the new troop armor to be the bandit armor.
Oh, that's the old Sith, the OG armor that we see these like Rakatan / Kejut people wearing is it's the higher ups have that big helmet like that because they're emulating their master.
where did they get the armor from? Because they're on this desolate planet, right?
Right.
They had to get the armor from somewhere.
And they had to make it from something, and they're not going to make a helmet like that. You're not going to make a helmet when you're fighting with blades stick out like that, unless it's for a distinct reason, like to show off that you are a leader. Why would their leaders have an elongated crest on their head? Because they were Zeffo, or a Zeffo, and then Rakatan, because the Rakatans had long eye stalks and like hammerhead style head.
It's the only buildings or any kind of constructed things we see, because these people and the weird crab people are both nomads. They just wander around with tents and stuff. So these guys had to get this armor from somewhere, because they couldn't have made it, because they look old.
Yeah.
For starters. So maybe they found it in one of the temples.
I could see that again, and I could really see it though, to where like the Kejut trying to just keep himself alive, but didn't have many people here. If he was to have control over the life wind like they talk about, then he could maybe have made some type of, not clone of himself, but like essence of his DNA. And that's why the Rakatans look the way they do, is because they're kind of Zeffo, but they're not. So again, I this is amazing ideas. This is a lot of fun. I really do look forward to seeing what we're going to get with the future of Baylan, because it needs to happen. Do not just drop this and move on. I want to see what happens with the future of Shin Hati, and hopefully the season 2 of Ahsoka. Aside from that, the Mandoverse movie is going to be really, really good, and I know the villains are going to be set up well. But I'm super excited to see if we're going to get this connection now that we've kind of thought up this whole Zeffo thing. Did
we actually see Kejut's corpse in the older, in the game on Dathomir? I say his tomb's there, but
yeah,
what if it's not really his tomb? Like you said, how the Sith. Maybe his actual body is actually went back to
Peridia. And was actually buried on Peridia, right?
Because to me, if I was wanting to, because if we have this, necromancy magic, right?
Yeah.
And part of the cult had turned on, part of the people that were serving under him turned on him, and what I would do is I would send it back to a planet that only our people could access to hide his body, and then tell everyone that his body's on Dathomir.
Right. Well, his burial chamber. He's right up there holding this. No, yeah, that's his body apparently. It does look.
A picture.
Yeah, there's a mummified.
Yeah.
He is mummified in that tomb, so he is definitely dead there. He literally is holding that atrium thing that he was. So yeah, but
then they must be getting something else.
Yeah, who knows?
Related to him, but I guess not him.
I mean, if he did all of his darkest experiments there before he came back to Dathomir, he would still have records there.
Yeah.
But anyway, before we continue to speculate on the powers of Kejut for another hour and a half, thank you guys so much for stopping by. This was an amazing conversation. Let us know in the comments down below, what do you think of this connection between the Zeffo, the Rakatans, and the ancient enemies of the galaxy? What do you think the Zeffo are going to play into the future? Or who do you think the future enemies of the Star Wars universe are going to be? Thank you all so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Have an amazing rest of your evening. And as always, may the Force serve you well.
May the Force be with you.